Greetings, viewers. Welcome to today's class. We'll be talking about the Kingdom Protista. I taught the Kingdom Monera firstly, so today we'll be looking at the Kingdom Protista. And before I continue, don't forget to follow my channel and like this video. So we'll just be looking at the Kingdom Protista for today. Now, Protista are single-celled or unicellular organisms. That means they are unicellular organisms. That is, they are one-celled organism or a single-celled organisms. They are made up of eukaryotic cells. So, eukaryotic cells. So, organisms that are eukaryotic are those organisms that have nucleus. So they are eukaryotic cell in which their cell structure is complex with a well-defined nucleus. Many structures called the organelles are present. So Kingdom Protistas, they have organelles in it. I remember that in the Kingdom Monerans, I taught in the Kingdom Monerans that Kingdom Monerans are prokaryotes and they are the only kingdom that lack definite nucleus. Kingdom Monerans are the only kingdoms in the 5 kingdoms that lack definite nucleus, while the rest of the 4 are eukaryotic. That's why Kingdom Protista is also eukaryotic. Now, a eukaryotic cell is not only complex and highly organized, but also very much bigger than a prokaryotic cell. So, a eukaryotic cell is not only complex, but also very much bigger than a prokaryotic cell. Now, most protists live in water, in rivers, in seas, in moist places, and body fluids of living organisms. So this is the habitat. They live in water, in rivers, in seas, moist places, and body fluids of living organisms. Many of them can move about using a hair-like structure called flagella and cilia, or by forming a pseudopodia, often known as the false foot. So Kingdom Protista have 3 organelles for movement. They can make use of the flagella, they can make use of the cilia, and they can make use of the pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. And pseudopodia means false foot. So pseudopodia actually means false foot. Then these are the characteristics or the explanation of Kingdom Protista. That they are eukaryotic cells, that their structures carry organelles. They carry organelles, and its habitat is mainly in water, especially in rivers, seas, moist places, and body fluids of living organisms. And then the organelles which Kingdom Protista use for movement is the pseudopodia, the flagella, and the cilia. Now let's look at the phylums of this Kingdom Protista. The phylums of this Kingdom Protista. Remember, in our hierarchy of classifying living organisms, after the kingdoms is the phylum. So now let's look at the phylum under Kingdom Protista. We have phylum Protophyta. We have phylum Protozoa. I have the phylum Protozoa. So these are the 2 phylums that fall under Kingdom Protista. Now let's look at phylum Protophyta. The phylum Protophyta. Some protists are plant cells and are known as protophyta. They have cellulose cell wall. So protophyta are plants-like protists. So while protozoa are animal-like protists. So the key difference between phylum Protophyta and phylum Protozoa is that phylum Protophyta is a plant-like protist, while phylum Protozoa are animal-like protists. Now, in coming to explain the phylum Protophyta actually, that they are plant-like protists and therefore they are named Protophyta. They have cellulose cell walls, cellulose cell walls, and organelles called the chloroplast. These chloroplasts contains chlorophyll, which enable them to make their own food. Then some of the examples of these protophyta are we have the chlamydomonas, and the chlorella. So these are examples of phylum Protophyta, the chlamydomonas and the chlorella. They are found in fresh waters and diatoms, found both in freshwater and in the seas. Take note, diatoms have hard silica coats, something we call diatoms. They have hard silica coats. So that will be all for phylum Protophyta. So now let's move over to the phylum Protozoa. You remember earlier when I said the Protophyta are plant-like protists, while protozoas are animal-like protists. Now, in phylum Protozoa, which are animal-like protists, they feed on already made food and they do not have cellulose cell wall. Animals cannot produce their own food. They depend on already made food. They depend on plants for food. So animal-like protists feed on already made food and they do not have cellulose cell walls. Examples of them include the protozoas, the amoeba, and the paramecium. So these are common examples of phylum Protozoas. There is an organism called Euglena viridis. Euglena viridis is actually a protist that shows both plant-like and animal-like features. So this organism, the Euglena viridis, it's under Kingdom Protista, but it also shows plant-like and animal-like features in it. It has chloroplasts which enable it to make its own food. It does not have a cellulose cell wall. So these are the intermediate characteristics or features that make it to be both plant-like and actually animal-like. So it has chloroplasts which enables it. So the ability for it to possess chloroplasts made it plant-like, but it does not have a cellulose cell wall, which is a characteristics of an animal-like protist. So that's why it is both plant-like and animal-like. It does not have a cellulose cell wall, but has a plasma membrane called the pellicle. It has a plasma membrane called the pellicle. So take note of this, called the pellicle. This is an animal-like feature. There are also a few colorless types of euglena that have to take in already made food. Some protists reproduce by simply dividing into two daughter cells. So they reproduce by simply dividing into two daughter cells, which is mitosis. Mitosis is the division into two daughter cells, while meiosis is the division into four daughter cells. Many, however, reproduce sexually. They produce male and female sex cells or gametes which fuse to form a fertilized cell or zygote. Then the zygote undergoes a special type of cell division known as meiosis to form spores. So each spore develops into a new organism. This is an important evolutionary advance. So actually, um, phylum Protozoas, there are some that reproduce asexually, which undergoes mitosis because their cells are divided into two daughter cells, while some reproduce sexually because they divide into four daughter cells, so they undergo meiosis. And those that undergoes meiosis, they reproduce by means of spores. By means of spores. So this is an important evolutionary advance. Now, let us look at the classes. Let's remember in the hierarchy from the kingdoms to the phylums and then to the classes. Now, under class of phylum Protozoas, we have the class Rhizopoda. Example of class Rhizopoda is the amoeba. Then, which makes use of pseudopodia for movement. So, under class Rhizopoda, an example of it is the amoeba, which makes use of pseudopodia. So pseudopodia is the organelle which amoeba use for movement. Then the second class, we have class Celiophora. An example of it is the paramecium. Which makes use of cilia for movement. Then another class is class Mastigophora. An example of it is the Trichomonas. Which makes use of flagella for movement. Another one we have is class Sporozoa. An example of it is Plasmodium, which does not have any organelle. It does not have any organelle for movement. So these are the classes of phylum Protozoa. The class Rhizopoda, example the amoeba, which makes use of pseudopodia for movement. Class Celiophora, which makes use of paramecium. Example paramecium, which makes use of cilia for movement. Class Mastigophora, example of it Trichomonas, which makes use of flagella for movement. Then class Sporozoa, example the Plasmodium, which causes malaria. So Plasmodium does not have any organelle for movement. Note, a spore is a special reproductive body. I've talked about spore. It's a special reproductive body consisting of a single cell or a small group of cells which becomes free of the parent organisms and grow into a new organism. Now, spores are formed as a result of mitosis or meiosis. May be formed as a result of mitosis or asexual reproduction, or meiosis, that is sexual reproduction. Spores, however, do not fuse with one another as gametes do. So spores do not fuse with one another as sex cells or gametes do. Many spores have thick walls which protect them until environmental conditions are favorable for their germination and growth. From the above description, we see that the Kingdom Protista still possess problems to biologists. Another modern classification scheme does not have this kingdom, but places the members in either the plant kingdom or the animal kingdom. So that will be all for today in Kingdom Protista. If there are questions, kindly just put it in the comment section. I will answer the questions on this subtopic today. Thank you for listening on the audience. Bye for now.